If you look up best hairstyles for black men, you always see the same thing. Waves, fades, locks, braids, repeat. Now, here's the problem. That list tells you what to get, but it never tells you which variation fits your face. So I'm going to show you how to find the best hairstyles actually made specifically for you. Think about the last time you got a haircut. You probably sat in that chair and said one of three things. Just line me up, give me a fade. Or you showed your barber a picture of someone else. And it came out fine, maybe even good, but not that great. Not people literally stopping on the street kind of level. Here's why. Your barber has been trained to do the same handful of cuts for years. Now, that's not a knock on barbers. It's how the industry just works. Sharp lines, crispy fades, clean edges, barbers have perfected that. But when it comes to 2026 and onwards, here's what most guys never consider. The exact same fade will look completely different on two different head shapes. A high skin fade on a guy with an oval face, it will look sharp, but that same cut on someone with a rounder face will make your head look like a balloon. And it's annoying because nobody tells you this. So you just walk out thinking that fades or certain hairstyles just might not work for you, when the reality is you just got the wrong variation of that hairstyle. So let me break down the 6 main categories of hairstyles, and more importantly, the specific variations within each one that actually works for different face shapes, hair textures, lifestyles, and your personality. When you do this, you stop chasing dead trends and instead get the styles that are going to make you look incredible no matter the time period. I also made this full complete guide including all the information in this video as well as extra insights and gems I couldn't fit in. I'm running it on an insane discount, so grab it while it lasts and subscribe to Glowup Guy. There's something about your hair type that most guys completely misunderstand, and if you don't know this, nothing else I tell you will actually matter. Most guys know they have curly hair or coily hair, but that's not specific enough. They need to understand that there's 3 main hair types. There's 4A, 4B, and 4C. Most men of color fit into this category. 4A hair has defined S-shaped curls. Think of tight spirals about the width of a pen. 4B is tighter Z-shaped patterns that look fluffier and don't clump as easily. And 4C is the tightest coil pattern with no visible curl definition unless you style it. Now, why does this matter? Because a hairstyle that looks incredible on 4A hair might actually look stiff and unnatural on 4C. In fact, 4C hair can shrink up to 70% of its actual length. So a guy with 6 inches of 4C hair might only be showing 2 inches. That completely changes which hairstyles can work for them. There's also a structural difference. The tighter your coil pattern, the harder it is for your scalp's natural oils to travel down your hair shaft. That's why 4B and 4C textures tend to feel drier. It's not that you're doing something wrong, it's just how hair physics work. So when I talk about which variations work for which hair types, this is exactly what I mean by how important it is. Okay, now let me actually talk about the actual styles. First ups are braids and twists, and I need to tell you something that can literally save your hairline. Braids are supposed to be the ultimate protective style. If you get them done once, you're going to be set for weeks and your hair will stay protected while it grows. Now, this sounds perfect, but here's what actually happens for a lot of us guys. You go to a braider, you sit down for a couple of hours, and then you walk out feeling fresh with your new protective style. Then 2 weeks later, your scalp is still tender, and a month in, you notice your edges looking thinner than before. Now, what went wrong? Well, it comes from something called tension distribution. Different types of braids actually pull on your hair follicles differently. Box braids and tight cornrows will put consistent, concentrated tension on specific points along your hairline. If you feel as if your edges or hairline seems to be stressed or receding, maybe you've been getting braids back to back for years, and that repeated pulling may have caused traction alopecia. Now, that's a real medical term for hair loss caused by constant pulling, and once those follicles are damaged, they might not actually recover. So here's a rule I recommend you to follow. If you've got a fragile hairline, or if you've ever noticed thinning at your temples, or you just want the lowest risk protective style option, I recommend getting 2-strand twists. They distribute that tension a lot more evenly, which means that there's less tension on each of your hair follicles. And when you take them out, you get a twist out as a bonus, which is basically 2 hairstyles in one. This works especially well on 4B and 4C textures, because the tighter coil pattern holds the twisted shape. But if you have 4A hair and your twists unravel quickly, you can try doing them on slightly damp hair with a holding product, or consider going smaller with your sections. Now next are stitch braids. If your hairline is solid and you want something a lot sharper, something that actually makes a statement, you should try out stitch braids. When hairstylists put your hair into a stitch braid, the technique creates those tight horizontal lines with precise sections. A bunch of celebrities have rocked variations of it, and it works best on guys with strong hairlines who can handle that front exposure. Face-wise, the horizontal lines for stitch braids actually add visual width. So if you have a longer, narrower face, this will actually balance your proportions. But if your face is already quite wide, all those lines can make it look wider. Now, to maintain braids, keep them in for around 4 to 6 weeks before you get them redone. You can keep them in for longer than 6 weeks, but this risks having build-up and potential hair damage over time. Now, braids get quite a lot of attention, but most guys default to fades without knowing there are actually 4 different types, and picking the wrong one can actually throw off your whole face. Let me show you what I mean. Now, everyone knows that the fade is a foundational style, but there's a problem that most guys do. Often, you'll go on social media and you'll see someone with a cool fade that you want to try out. So you screenshot it, show it to your barber, and your barber does exactly what the image showed them to do. But when you look at the style on you, it just looks kind of off. Like, it's not necessarily terrible, but it's just not hitting as much as the original photo you saw. Now, the issue isn't your barber's skill all the time. It's just that you picked a fade designed for a different head shape and face type than yours. There are 4 main fade types, and each one creates a different visual effect. First is the low taper fade. The fade starts alone in the bottom of your ear and neckline. It's subtle, professional, doesn't draw too much attention, and it's the safest choice if you're not sure what to get. It works in almost every face shape because it doesn't dramatically alter your proportions. If you pair this with waves or a short curly top, it's going to look clean, put together, and it will never be too loud. Now, the second type of fade is the mid fade. It starts around the temple, right at your ear level, and it's a lot more noticeable than a low taper, but still very versatile. If you have an oval face shape, this is your sweet spot. You can get away with almost anything, so the mid fade keeps things balanced without being boring. Next is the high fade. The fade starts above the temple, closer to the crown of your head. This creates maximum contrast and visual impact. But the thing is, a high fade removes hair from the sides of your head, which actually makes your face look longer and narrower. So it's great if you've got a round face, you need that length. But if your face is already longer than normal, this is a terrible style to go with, because a high fade can make you look even more stretched. Next is the drop fade. Instead of fading in a straight horizontal line, it actually curves down behind the ear and it follows the natural shape of your skull. This actually looks very organic and a lot more blended. A lot of celebrities have actually been rocking variations of the drop fade for years. It works well with braids that flow on top, because the curve transition feels more natural than a harsh line. Okay, so here are rules when it comes to choosing the best fade for you. If your face is round, go for a higher type of fade. If you've got a longer face, go for a lower type of fade. And if you've got an oval face, just experiment. A square face, mid fade with some texture on top can really look good, as it adds extra vertical height. Okay, now here's the thing. Fades isn't everything, because what you put on top of your fades can actually matter even more. And if you've been thinking about getting locks, but don't know which style fits your personality and lifestyle, I'm going to clear it all up. The thing with locks is that they aren't just a hairstyle, they're a literal lifestyle commitment. They take a while to get, so you can't necessarily just move on very quickly from them. So before you start, you need to decide whether you want to get the structured locks or freeform locks. A lot of guys start locks without thinking about this. They just let the hair do its own thing for like 6 months, then realize they wanted something neater. Now they're stuck in an awkward middle phase where it's not clean enough to work, but at the same time it's not freeform enough to look intentional. Or worse, they get locks maintained too tightly, too often, and end up with some traction damage I talked about with braids. The difference between cultivated and freeform locks isn't just the look, it's how it impacts your lifestyle and what you want your hair to communicate to the general public. So if we dive deep into the cultivated locks of the fade, this is a lot more of a polished approach. This requires you getting regular retwists around every 4 to 6 weeks, allowing you to keep the parts clean, and then top up with a faded side to make sure you have that contrast. Here are some examples of what it looks like. As you can see, the locks on top give them personality, but the fade still keeps it functional and aesthetic. The style works great for guys who still want to look put together, but don't want a corporate cut. Your locks let you stand out, but the fade gives you that modern edge. And when it comes to the face shape, the volume from locks on top is great if you've got a heart-shaped or a diamond-shaped face, because it balances a narrower chin. Now, for freeform locks, this doesn't require any retwists or manipulation. You let your hair just lock naturally, which means you might have irregular sizes, organic shapes, and a look that evolves over time. But that's the beauty of it. Get a lot more of a unique look that doesn't just follow generic grooming standards. However, it does take longer for freeform locks to mature. So you need to expect around 12 to 18 months before they start looking intentional rather than just uncombed hair. Because it's such a big commitment, making sure it fits your lifestyle is really important. If you're more in the creative field or you're a younger guy, this can actually boost your presence. But if you've got a conservative corporate job, then just make sure you're committed to seeing these freeform locks through to the end. There's no wrong choice with which type of dreadlock style you want to go with. But if you don't have any of these ideas in your mind, you might end up regretting it. Now, locks take time, but what if you're in that awkward in-between phase right now where your hair is too short to braid, but too long just to leave it alone? Well, there's a style specifically designed for you. Growing your hair out sounds simple, just stop cutting it. But anyone who's tried knows there's a 3 to 4 month window where you look like you just gave up on your hair. And every time you see yourself in the mirror, you debate whether to cut it all off and just start over. Now, the tapered afro is designed for this exact phase. You gotta keep the volume and texture on top, allowing your hair to keep growing. You maintain the sides and the back with a subtle fade and a sharp liner. The fade does two things here. It creates structure so you don't look unkempt, and it creates contrast that makes the top look fuller and more intentional. If you have 4B and 4C hair texture, this is ideal. Our tighter coils hold shape and create natural volume. The height from your afro adds length to round faces. If that's you, this is honestly one of your best options. You want to keep your lineup fresh every 2 to 3 weeks and maintain your moisture routine that I've explained in videos I'll pin above. Your hair is more fragile at the ends during the growth phase, so you have to handle it carefully. Now, the tapered afro look takes patience. If you want a style that signals discipline without saying a word, then it's literally one of my favorite options, and it requires a lot more commitment than any other hairstyle on this list. Waves have always been a classic, but I feel as if they're having a moment right now. Here's the thing with waves, you just can't fake this hairstyle. If you're desperate, you can get braids artificially installed in just a couple of hours, you can get a fresh fade in like 30 minutes, but when it comes to waves, that's literally a daily commitment. Brushing, woofing, moisturizing, do-rags, consistent haircuts. If you're not willing to put in the work, your waves are gonna expose you. That's exactly why they carry weight. When someone sees deep, defined 360 waves on a guy, they immediately know, alright, this person's disciplined and they're committed. And honestly, I think that's why a lot of women just love this style on a man. It shows you've been brushing your hair every day, you've been protecting your hair every night, and you've been consistent at it for months. It's a non-verbal proof that you literally take care of yourself. Now, if you pair this with the best fade I mentioned before for your face shape, you're gonna have a clean look. However, this works best for short, coarser hair. So if your hair is too fine, the waves won't hold that definition. And if it's too long, you won't get that tight ripple pattern. Now, when it comes to the face shape, the horizontal wave pattern works great on square and oval faces because the lines actually complement your angular features. But if you have rounder faces, the effect is more subtle, but it's still clean. So if you're not ready to brush daily and wear a do-rag every single night, this might not be your style. If you're committed and you're disciplined, definitely try it out. Alright, now everything I've covered assumes you've got a full head of hair to work with. But if that's not your situation and you might not have any hair, or your hairline is receding or thinning, this next hairstyle is for you. I get it. I look at the comments and understand that not everyone watching this has the option to choose between all these hairstyles. So if your hairline is moving back or your crown is thinning or you don't have any hair at all, let me tell you something. A lot of guys fight this. They try and outgrow their top longer to cover any missing hair. Or they might avoid certain angles when it comes to taking photos. They spend years in denial what everyone around them has already noticed. Now, your move actually is not to hide it, it's just to own it. Getting a buzz cut or a full shave paired with well-groomed facial hair actually shifts the point of focus entirely. You're no longer that guy just losing his hair. In fact, people stop caring about that and are more focused on how you can get your facial hair to look so good. Honestly, think about it. Some of the most masculine looking guys in the world have shaved heads. So when you're at this stage, your beard becomes your haircut. So what you want to do is keep it shaped. Get your barber to fade in those beard lines and try out loads of different types of beard styles. And if you have a patchy beard, keep it trimmed short, or you can even try a disconnected goatee, or keep it short, as stubble beard styles is rated as one of the most attractive styles to women. Alright, so make sure to save this video, go back to whichever section fits you, and screenshot the details and show your barber exactly what you want. Make sure to grab the full discounted guide while it lasts, and subscribe for more. I'm on a mission to share the best glow up content for us guys of color. Let's keep glowing up.